Hello, folks, and welcome to another episode of the Moose Hunt Podcast. As always, I'm your host, Chris Richards, thrilled to have you all joining us today. The Moose Hunt Podcast is brought to you in part by OMM Outfitters of Eagle Lake, Maine. If you would like to join us for your next exciting outdoor adventure, we encourage you to visit our website at ommoutfitters.com. Whether you're interested in a trophy bear or moose hunt, an upland hunt, or just an experience getting away at one of the most historic and rustic sporting lodges in Maine, we strongly encourage you to check out that information and give us a call. Last episode was episode 5, where we sat down with our good friend Tom Hamilton and went through the topic of scouting and also a very specific story about a bull we called the Horseshoe Bull. That specific animal had a robust and extensive history with the crew here at OMM Outfitters. And those who would like to learn more about that story and are interested, we encourage you to visit our Facebook page, where you can actually find documented history and story of multiple years worth of aerial surveillance and trail camera photo documenting that bull as we pursued him over multiple seasons. And Tom and his client finally were able to track him down. You also can read a detailed description of that hunt in the October 2022 edition of the Northwood Sporting Journal. On today's episode, episode 6, we sit down with our dear friend, mentor, and the most experienced member of our team, Mr. Guy Randlett. Guy has been guiding moose hunts for over 25 years in the great woods of Maine and is known for tracking down and finding truly magnificent trophy bulls for his clients ever since the day he started. In this episode, it'll be quick to realize that when you listen to a guy tell a story or share expertise, you're hearing from one of the most legendary, humble, and incredible people to ever grace the North Maine woods. What's so special about working with Guy is his commitment and passion for sharing his knowledge and passing on the lessons he's learned over the years to the next generation. And I can say personally, I'm humbled and grateful to be one of the people that has benefited from his teachings, along with every other member of our team. So sit back, relax, and enjoy this episode of the Moose Hunt Podcast. This is a truly special one, and frankly for us, will be one for the history books for all time. Enjoy. Hello, folks, and welcome to another episode of the Moose Hunt Podcast. As always, I'm your host, Chris Richards. I'm very excited today. I'm actually joined with 3 of the fellow team members here at OMM. Returning, we have Mr. Nathan Terrio, Mr. Ken Mayo, and we're particularly excited for our first-time guest, a mentor of ours, a dear friend, the most experienced guide on this team, the legendary Maine guide, Mr. Guy Randlett. Guy, how are you today?
Good, thanks. Good. Good to be here. Thank you very much for having me.
The standing ovation from everyone in the background was very nice. And so, Guy, what we've been doing here is really meeting team members, getting to know everyone on this team, sharing stories about moose hunting, tips, really to be educational, motivational, and everything. And you know, I think it's particularly exciting to bring someone like you to the podcast, given your years of experience and, you know, I think the impact you have on all these guys here on this group, and particularly the 2 gentlemen here with me. And I know we'll get into that, but really kind of want to jump right in with you and get back to, you know, how did you get started in this moose hunting game? When did you get started? How long have you been doing this? You know, kind of give us a little history lesson, if you would.
Yeah, okay. So in 1980, they had the first, I guess it was still an experimental moose season. And I wasn't even going to apply. A friend of mine said, "Oh, you got to apply." And anyways, I got drawn then. And I had just bought my lobster fishing business then and whatnot. You know, we went hunting for a few days and in areas where we'd seen tons of moose, around Jackman, outside of Jackman. And, we didn't see anything for a couple of days. And I'm thinking to myself, well, I want to go back and get, all those traps. So Wednesday morning come around, we went in this area. We got out of the truck and walked down this, across a bridge that you couldn't really drive across it. So that got us into the woods, and the first critter I saw, wham, it was a cow.
Yeah.
Biggest squander of my life.
Really?
Anyways, I figured, well, I'll get picked again next year or the year after, Yeah. And so that was the start of it. And then subsequently, I didn't get picked again until 2010. But in the meantime, I'm thinking to myself, well, this is the only way I'm going to get to go moose hunting.
Guiding,
is by participating as a guide. I could, probably do that on an annual basis. And there was only one season, that 1 week then, instead of the split. And so I started that, and it really wasn't that much longer than you guys have been at it. It was, my first customer was a gentleman from Fort Worth, Texas, who bought his tag at the auction, and you laugh at it because back then he paid like $7,200, which wouldn't even get you on the list today. And he shot. I was really blessed because the week went well as far as our personalities and all goes, but we just weren't seeing the moose up in what was called then the Central Zone, Zone 4. And anyways, he ended up whacking one that was 57 inches. And
small one.
And furthermore, he, along with the pictures, I got great references from him.
Right.
So that really got, thank God.
Yeah, amen.
That really got the ball rolling. And then for the next 5 or 6 or 7 years before these guys came along, I had auction customers every year.
Wow.
Then they started taking them from me. I could tell because people would call me up, and I'd answer the phone, and they'd go, Nathan? Anyways, so that's how I got started.
Yeah.
I got my guide's license, and the next year I had this gentleman and his wife, really nice people, and that's how I got started. And 99% of the hunts I've done, I've really enjoyed.
Yep.
I think it was a good move. And I was blessed by God. I was fortunate enough in the lobster industry. I could take a week off, and
right.
I could take days scouting in between, before the season, and in between when I hauled my traps, and, so that's pretty much the start of it.
Right. Now, you're still in the game, and so when you think back on that, kind of, you brought these guys, I guess, so to speak, into the fold. When did that happen? How did that happen? Kind of tell us that story of how this triangle formed.
I'm not really sure exactly when the year was, but I'm thinking maybe you guys can, sometime in between 2005 and 2010, somewhere in there.
I think it was between 2005 and 2007 was our first meeting.
I think closer to 2005.
Yeah.
Anyways, my wife and I were up at the Augusta Sportsman's Show.
Yep.
And just walking around, and we come around the corner, and they had an end booth. I didn't know them at all.
Yeah.
They had a booth on the end there, and there was this video of these two big bulls on a screen out in the middle of a field up here somewhere, just fighting. And they were going at it, and it was like, holy mackerel, look at those bulls, and it was like protracted. It went on for like 10 minutes or more. I can't remember.
Right.
Yeah.
So anyways, I think they must have had like a double booth, really, because it went down the aisle. And my wife got talking to Gloria and Nathan, and I got talking to Kenny, and I never really got a chance. I probably met Nathan then, but I talked to Kenny more, and vice versa with my wife. And, we talked to him. We were there for 10 minutes or so, and we both, went on our, looking at the rest of the booths and stuff, the people and whatnot. And we went around the corner and we both said to each other, geez, what a couple of young, clean cut, nice, wholesome kids,
Yeah.
with obvious passion for the.
I like how he says kids.
Yeah.
Kids.
For the
I would have
business.
referred
Well, they
to us
were
as
kids.
punks.
They were, I don't know how old.
Yeah.
Young punks.
Well, don't get me started on comparing them to other people that were there.
Right.
Anyways, and I always just like booked a couple of hunters a year. Not every. I mean, there was times when I had more, and then when we got the split season in the South, which like Zone 4 and whatnot. I booked a couple. I'd have a couple each season, and so I had. Anyways, I had other guides, but I'd book up pretty quickly, and this. I thought to myself, these people are still calling. I'm getting, a lot more calls to book, and I said, well, this guy, his name was Jim, I believe, from Maryland, I think. I could look it up. Nathan might confirm it. He called me up and he said, well, he'd been a prior inquiry, so I had him on my list.
Yeah.
He said, I think he said Zone 3. It was one of these zones up here. I said, well, you ought to try these fellas. I guarantee you, they'll do a good job for you. And it just, it just all went from there, and thank God. I mean,
Amen.
it's been you guys, these guys and you and everyone else has kept me young, so to speak. I may not look very young or act very young.
So I want to just revert a little bit because, he put it nicely and said kids, but, this is, so we're going on about 20 years and Jim, I think he ended up with a 51-inch bull and a great guy, but, it was not easy to book hunts.
It was tough, especially being young.
It really was.
Yeah.
Kenny and I'd go out and we'd troll for hunters.
Exactly.
be like Wednesday and,
Yeah.
see somebody out there and be like, hey, you need any help? Well, how much was it going to cost? I'm like, I don't know. Like, can you pay our fuel?
Yeah. Right.
And meanwhile, guys books up in the first day. Guy calls me up and says, Guy Randlett, Maine Trophy Moose. Yeah, he told us to book with you. Where do we sign up?
Wow.
And I'm just like,
Yeah.
Oh, hold on a second. Let me. I mean, it was literally 10-minute phone calls, and I would say, our booking percentage back then of everybody we talked to was probably like, I don't know, 10%, 20% of the people we talked to actually booked with us compared to now, which is like 80, 90% people we talk to book.
Right.
I mean, it's been a long road, and without sugarcoating it, Guy has put us on the map and
Absolutely.
helped us to get to where we are, not just from giving us a shot at this thing, but also everything we've learned from him. So thank you, Guy.
Yes. Please keep the lessons coming.
Yes.
Yeah, I've learned a lot from you guys.
When
never
you
stop learning.
when you think about 1980
Yeah.
and now, what's the biggest change you see, tactics wise? How you've changed, how you hunt? What works has stayed the same, or when you think about that, what do you think the difference is?
I think the biggest difference, and probably about anybody would go along with this is that, I realized soon in my professional career, that, road hunting is not where it's at unless when I started, you could successfully, harvest a moose road hunting.
Yeah. Right. Yep.
But as far as getting a big bull, trophy bull, which, I was targeting, hopefully.
That's the goal, right? Yep.
Then it was just, luck.
Mm-hmm.
If you were road hunting, a lot of luck. I mean, it's but that getting off the road and quartering up the animals and having that mindset, and to me, it's been the biggest change. As far as from the hunter's point of view.
Yep.
As far as the animals go, I mean, there's no question in my mind. I mean, they've been educated, well educated over the years.
Right.
I mean, when we first started getting off the road, and like Russ and I or Travis and I, we'd be calling, and they'd come in from every direction at once. It was just like you were the center of a bicycle wheel, and there was one coming in on every spoke, and that's evolved to even the young bulls now. And this started 10, 15 years ago. Even the young bulls use the wind now.
Yep.
But I would say that's been for me the biggest asset was getting off the roads and taking. These people, for the most part, that's what they wanted to do.
Right.
They did not want to ride, in a truck on a dusty road behind other trucks that are kicking up dust, and they just didn't want to do that. They didn't want to have anything to do with it.
Right.
So that's it. I mean, there's other factors, but
yeah,
those are the ones that stick out the most for me.
You guys, same question. I mean, been at this a little while. What have you seen change? If you were to put your finger on your first year to now.
I wish we were doing what we do now our first year.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. I mean, hindsight's always 20/20, but I think just, like to echo what Guy's saying, getting off the road, not having to worry about a trailer or equipment to get an animal out of the woods.
Backpack and a knife.
Yeah, backpack and a knife, and you're all set. And I think for us is learning how to read the forest. The forest is a constantly changing ecosystem, especially where we hunt, and understanding how the changes affect these animals. And that comes with experience, obviously, but I think, just off the top, that's a big one for me.
Mm-hmm.
So,
yeah, for sure. Yeah, echo that. I mean, being able to read weather, read habitat, and understanding these animals. I mean, we have, I don't know how many trail cameras out there, and the animals that we're targeting, a lot of them have had a lot of history. It's almost like we know where they're going to be and when they're going to be there. Tendencies.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Understanding tendencies and then incorporating animal tendencies with weather and habitat is, changed our way, along with technology.
Yeah, technology too, obviously. That's come a long ways, as we know.
The hardest part of that is keeping up with it.
Yeah, absolutely.
It's funny. Guy made a comment earlier when we first got here. We were sitting down about technology. I'm finding myself now as someone who occasionally has these moments of like, how does this work? You know what I mean?
Thank God for YouTube.
Join the club.
Right. So yes, YouTube University. You can learn a lot. You can even learn how to run a podcast recorder. Trust me on that. So, Guy, thinking back on your career, What's one particular moose hunt that really like stands out to you as a top, like one of your top memories or top experiences, whether for whatever reason? A lot of them.
Man alive. You know, the one that I probably enjoyed the most, and I could name 10 of them that would, be so close to one another. I had this hunter from Nevada, I can't remember, Winnemucca, Nevada, as a matter of fact.
Wow.
Great guy. He was a cowboy.
Yep.
And
Did he wear a cowboy hat?
no.
He wasn't a cowboy.
No. He grew up a cowboy. Anyways, he had a 58 caliber round ball gun that a friend of his had made, and that's what he was going to use. He had to sneak it on the plane with powder, with his, I don't know. There was some deal. I can't remember. This was
security.
This was
This was pre 9/11.
no, this was post 9/11.
Really?
This was 2005.
Oh my goodness.
And 2006, actually. Anyways, so we were up in this area, Zone 4, and there was no one else hunting this area. But one of the loggers had told me in the spring, he said, "Man alive, if I was after a bull, this is where I'd go." Because he said, that's where I found the most shit.
Mm-hmm.
And so we were up there, and we didn't see anybody all week. We had 2 hunters. Anyways, this guy, Art, he was going to get his money's worth. Because he passed up some great bulls, some great opportunity. I knew he wanted to go until Saturday, and he didn't give a hoot whether he got one or not. Anyways, we were. This was one of those situations where when you started calling, they were coming from every direction. And,
right.
Then you'd leave an area and you'd see more of them piling in. Well, anyways, it was the last day. He hadn't shot one. He passed up some really nice ones. I mean, to the point where Russ and I both had our fingers on our ears because we thought he was going to shoot that one, probably on Wednesday or Thursday. And there was this big bull kept responding to every time I called, and he was up on this ridge. And anyways, finally he said, "It's 7:30. I said, "I know, we're going to have to, just go nuts here." So I beat this. I hurt my hands beating this junk maple.
Yeah.
And for like 3 minutes grunting and smashing and just huge racket. And I stopped that, and that sucker was coming just like we were reeling him in, and coming, grunting on every step, and he's coming down this ridge. And he stuck his head out and he goes, "Oh, he's a monster." I'm
done.
We're tucked into this alder patch, and he shoots him, and that bull took one step this way and one step that way. 58 caliber round ball.
Wow.
Which he,
like paper patch loaded and everything, or
some kind of patch. Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
It's like shooting a cannon.
Anyways, he measured his powder the old-fashioned way. He put the ball in his palm and poured the powder until it covered the ball.
Wow.
And that's how he measures his powder.
wow.
And anyways, that thing, it rim racked that bull. And so anyways, he ended up with it was like 55, 50. Oh, it was the day after my 55th birthday. And I told him, I said, the day before, I said, "You got to get one that's 55 today because that's my 55th birthday." and so he got one that was 56. And he said, "I had to add a little to it." So anyways, he whacked that bull, and we just had more fun that week with him.
Yeah.
And everybody really loved him. And, he knew just what to do. He was, well versed in every facet of caping and all that, which we really weren't,
At the time, yeah.
I think we actually took that moose out whole. We were able to drive in there and get a cable on him and pull him out. It wasn't that far, and then get him in the truck. But that was a lot of fun.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I know that you had retired.
Oh yeah.
We may have pulled him out of retirement.
Yeah. A little coaxing.
So, Nathan, were you the one who coaxed?
I think it was both Kenny and I on that, but probably a little bit of God in there.
Absolutely.
And a lot of praying.
Yeah.
Yep.
But we got him out.
I think it was mutual.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I went for a time when before I had cataract surgery, and they put new lenses in my eye and stuff like that, and I had a bad knee, and I just couldn't take it anymore. So I got them fixed up, and my knee was still kind of sore. But I texted Nathan, and I said, this was the day after the drawing or something like that, and I said something to the effect of, "You got some old guy that can't walk and wants to just sit in the truck on a crossing or something like that.
Right.
Give me a call." And I mean, 30 seconds later, the phone rang. And,
Really?
Yeah. So that's how I got back into it. I mean, yeah, it didn't take much coaxing, and I felt a lot better, and I could see a lot better. And,
Yeah.
There was to anybody out there, if all of a sudden your client is seeing the animals before you are, go to the eye doctor.
So the second he says he's ready, you had one for him, Nathan.
Yeah, she a very special lady.
Amen.
Yeah, and it was the perfect fit. It for us, the meaning of that family and that hunt, and Guy being the one to take her. The impact that family has had on conservation worldwide and just in general in the industry. I'll speak for myself. I can't speak for anyone else, but have looked up to that family my whole life, and been blessed to be affiliated with some of the things that they've accomplished. And so Guy took it on, and it was an amazing experience. I'll let Guy talk about that.
Yeah.
But that was.
How many years had you been retired when you came back on the scene?
I think 2015 was my last hunt where I personally was operating my business, and in 2018 I got drawn, and I did a hunt. It was just Travis and I, and my knee was killing me, But so that hunt was in 2020.
Yeah.
I think. Yeah, it was.
Yeah.
And so it was, 4 or 5 years, something like that.
Yeah.
I was never very good at math. That's why I'm a fisherman.
I honestly thought he was done.
Yeah.
I did too.
Yeah, talking with Nate and talking with Guy, it seemed like that was it. And, we would still, obviously, he's always welcomed in this camp. And we would, we even tried to coach him, just come up for a couple of days during the week or whatever.
Yeah, I did that for a few years.
Yeah, just to come up and
be up around, hang out. Yeah.
We should, Guy, you should talk about that hunt though a little bit.
Well,
it was an amazing walk with God on that hunt, and I will say before it's hunting. We're not out there. We don't step in the woods with we're on a hunt. Not everyone's successful, no matter who you are, and it really takes the right circumstances and everything, and that really came together for you and the team.
Yeah, that I mean, as far as I like that hunt was the peak so far of my hunting career. No question about it. Art was a lot of fun.
Yeah.
And we saw a ton of moose.
Right.
But that hunt was, something I'll never top. And thank God, I mean, I had advice from these guys about, where to go, the spots you might want to try. And Colby and Mike were, fantastic help.
Yeah.
Colby, you could see better than I could, and you can hear better than I could. And Mike just had this very calming aspect to the whole hunt, and really, really professional. And
56-inch slammer.
Yeah.
Giant.
I won the pool.
He did win the pool too.
Yeah. So
But
I remember that everyone throws in a 20 into the guide pool, and the guide who happens to get the biggest spread kind of wins it per week. And that was really awesome to see the note from Nate that said, Guy Randlett comes out of retirement to sweep the guide pool with the 56-inch giant,
Then, none the least, an amazing tracking job.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh.
By the team on that.
Yeah.
This I mean, was just incredible. I mean, we've, one of the most amazing aspects of what we do is the opportunity we have to just believe and trust that God is going to lead us to these animals or help to find these things. And there's just been so many instances, and I mean, there's so much more to it than that. But this was there's ups and downs, and in this situation, she made a great shot, and we had Roger Stevens was behind the camera filming this thing, which just having that ability to look at the camera. I mean, his mouth dropped. I mean, it was a great shot.
Oh yeah.
And but no blood. I mean, no blood, and everyone was back. I think everyone had come back to camp at that point, and I had got there, and we were assembling a 5-man search party, and the family was back at camp, and I'm walking by the table, and the oldest son looks. I walk in the dining room, and I go, "We're going to find that bull," and he looks over at me. He goes, "You'll find him," just like that. And I was just like, "I love it." And we said a prayer. We went out there, and what was it, like 0.35 miles from the shop? I ended up finding the bull.
It was like
it was crazy distance.
That bull ran over 100 yards from where it was hit down the winter road, and then I think he went 400, 500, I don't know, 400 yards or something. Yeah. I've never seen anything, tenacity to life like that in my life. That bull was dead when he got shot.
Yep.
You just didn't know it.
Mm-hmm.
And I mean, it was thick in there, and as people know, those long-legged things, man, they take one step, and that's like 5 of ours, But we were, we obviously headed towards water, and I mean, we were close to being like, I just don't know. And then all of a sudden, it's like I looked, and there was half its rack, and I mean, it was just amazing. It was so thick and so late at night. We ended up having to pack that thing down to the river, and Mary couldn't even come to the bull because it would have been absolutely life-threatening to get her in there.
I couldn't. Quite honestly, I could not get down through there.
But what a great experience. I mean, it was just such a cool hunt. Guy comes out of retirement, get to spend the week with this amazing family. Yep. And just so cool, and Chris, we got to touch on Maine trophy moose.
Yeah. So give us the history, the stories of Maine Trophy Moose.
Well, that's what I named my company when I started it,
Yeah.
because I figured, this was not the absolute infancy of the internet, but a lot, it was before, people were really starting to use it then. So I figured, well, that's a good name because it's going to kind of, hit on all things, you get
Search
a greater
engine.
chance of the
Right.
search engines,
Right.
exposing me. So that was my thought with the name. And I absolutely wanted people to know that, this is not a meat hunt.
Mm-hmm.
This is, I would prefer you to not shoot anything if you can't shoot one that's, really nice, symmetrical, well palmated, at least, like 48 inches or something like that.
Yeah.
And preferably 55. So, and I don't know how much detail you want. You can cut it out if you want to. I just put little, very small, inexpensive ads in publications that the richest hunters on Earth or in North America
Mm-hmm.
would be most apt to see, that just directed it to my website. Then I had this kick butt website that just, had tons of pictures and
Yeah.
a lot of information and, expressly stating, my goals and, how it just. So anyways, that's how that got started.
Right.
I don't know if I'm leaving anything out or not, but
Keyword being trophy.
yeah.
And Maine.
I had this thing. I think it was called Stat Counter, and you're probably all familiar with something like it. You could see who and where, not who virtually, but who hit your website and what pages they looked at and how long they were on it and whatnot. And man, that thing used to, from March on, it would be going up and up and up and up, and then after the drawing, it would there'd be hundreds of hits in a day.
Exponential.
And, yeah. That was fun. Yeah.
We're honored to carry on the Maine Trophy Moose legacy.
Yeah, and I'm glad that those are the guys that are doing it. Absolutely. Thank God for them.
Yep.
And anybody that comes and hunts with us here is going to get to see a little bit of a memorialized history with some artifacts from Maine Trophy Moose and Guy coming up here. We're pretty excited about that.
Yeah.
In the new lodge.
Yeah.
Yep.
Oh,
Yeah.
Yeah. You haven't seen it yet,
I'm
Guy,
touched.
but it's going to be great.
Yeah. Yeah.
I just like to say too, I was blessed with great guys that worked for me.
Yeah.
One fellow was a forester in the area, fire ranger in the area, the zones 4 and 8 primarily, where I worked. Another guy had lived there, had a camp there, and his father, he helped his father when he was a little boy build the camps out at Dole Pond for the logging camp. Built all the cabins out there, and he knew, there was a road, when he got started, there was a road that went out past the Pittston farm and over to the border, the old boundary road, and there was one that kind of went over towards Sabumic campgrounds in that area, and I think there was one maybe that went up towards Big Bog, but there weren't any other roads. Mm-hmm. And these two guys, they knew their stuff, Russ and Gary, and they were such a huge help to me. I thank God for them.
I think that's but you touch on a great thing, I think, and it boils over here too. And the story of your out of retirement bull, so to speak, is the importance of team.
Yes.
Oh, what teamwork here! I mean, it's amazing. It's incredible. It's it sounds like a cliche, but just when I'm in the woods, or like last year when David and I were guiding a fella in September, and just knowing that no matter where we went, we were gonna, if the client shot one, that we were gonna have 4 or 5 at least people show up within the hour.
Right.
I mean, God bless them all,
Not if, though, when.
Yeah.
When?
Yeah.
And that's sort of a
It
model.
always happens.
Yeah. He constantly has to remind me of that. I'm just, an
of
old
positivity.
pessimist.
Yeah.
Positivity kills moose.
Yep.
Yes.
Always going to
Amen.
be positive.
Yeah.
Yeah, so speaking of that, we're actually here at Guide Training.
Yes.
2022, the
2022.
4th annual Guide Training.
What a great event.
Pretty exciting stuff. And, Chris hosting this podcast is so cool. And we're set up in the Queen of the Water.
And the Queen, looking out at the water right now.
Yep.
Beautiful day.
Got a beautiful Euro,
Yeah, staring at a nice 50 plus right now.
50+ inch bull over the top of us.
Gets us a little excited,
We'll say, the guide training, I think it is a training, but I think really that team dynamic comes out of it. Mm-hmm. I think reassures people of how many are here, how many people are here. You're going to have help, because we have big goals, certainly in what we do. And I think it's unique in our industry to kind of have this type of annual check-in review. We'll be sharing stories from last year of things that went well, things that didn't go well.
Yep.
All is learning lessons, for everyone to keep harnessing and sharpening those skills.
Yeah, and Tommy and Dana's nature walks.
Yep.
Can't forget about those.
Yep.
Learn about all the mushrooms and, education though is really, I know, Guy, when it's cool and obviously, you've had a lot of clients, but, when it's so, we walk in the woods around here and it's just like, yeah, it's Maine woods, but, these people, they come from, the desert.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And it's like you just teach them about a tree or like a mushroom or that's that bird over there, and it's like, later on down the road they're like, yeah, remember that tree you told me about? Like, no.
Yeah.
But I'm glad you liked it. It's the education though. It really, so guide training. It's the education. It's the camaraderie. It's the review. Mm-hmm. The great review.
Yeah.
It's really what it is.
Right.
And it's repetitive. A lot of this stuff is the same every year, but it's just good stuff. It's good to see everybody. Camaraderie, that building the bond. We really, we're a team, a family team that's out there, and whether it's in the field or out of the field, we just create lasting friendships, and we're always here for each other, so it's pretty cool.
Yeah. Stay tuned, folks, while we take a brief break for a word from our sponsors.
Eagle Lake Sporting Camps have been around since the 1890s. The camps sit on a 23,000-acre state reserve, surrounded by forest, loaded with wildlife. Cabins are rustic, bathroom, shower, full bar, great food. If it has to do with outdoors, hiking, biking, camping, hunting, fishing, we can do it. All I can say is, if you're looking to get away, Eagle Lake Sporting Camps has what you're looking for.
To learn more about the Eagle Lake Sporting Camps, please visit eaglelakesportingcamps.com. And now, let's get back to the podcast.
Yeah.
And I think one of the big things, and to Guy's point, that I think about a real lesson, and Guy, if you could kind of share maybe just a couple, tips or thoughts on this. I had been blessed I come from one of those families where it was almost a matter of, where are we going moose hunting this fall? One of those families. And so had been on a fair amount of hunts, but coming here, your lessons around known verbal sounds. People talk bull grunts and cow calls. Yeah. How did you come into like that? How'd you learn that? Did you just come up with that? Because to me, that was brand new.
Some of it I came up with. The obvious stuff like, scraping.
Don't give them all your secrets.
Yeah. I'm not going to give them.
Let's hear it. We want to hear it.
There's this woman she was a artist actually, and she lived in Quebec, and she did a documentary like 30 years ago, and she pointed out in that, I wish I could find it. I used to have the VHS. Yeah. Lord knows where that is now. I know I don't have it anymore.
Yeah.
But man alive, she pointed out a lot of the imitations that you could do that on the the non-challenging, rut related necessarily sounds that a moose just different moose just make.
Yeah.
And I like to start with that, if nothing else. And sometimes it's just paid off in spades.
Yeah.
And other times, you got to move on to the more traditional kind of calling. But I think that I don't know, some of those calls that they're just like saying, "We're here," and that moose is thinking, "I know you're there, and I'm not going over there." I just, get a kick out of it.
Yeah.
If nothing else, when it works.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Curiosity sounds.
Yeah.
I think,
Yeah. It sounds like other moose, Hey, I'm going to go over and see who's there,
Yeah.
Not necessarily looking for a fight or looking for a cow, just seeing,
Right.
By the way, Kenny, I ordered some OMM hats, and you're really going to appreciate this batch of hats that I have coming for you.
Extra flat brims?
No, it's going to take you back a little bit. I'll just leave it at that.
There we go. Awesome. Great. Yeah.
Gonna go retro.
Yep.
Yeah.
Perfect.
Well, we're coming up on 45 minutes here, Guy. And so I guess I would like, if you're to listeners out there, maybe they're going moose hunting this fall. Maybe they've never gone moose hunting and they're just starting to get into it. Someone going on their own hunt. What are some tips you'd give them? Like 2 or 3 key things to really have in mind going into their hunt.
The first one is regards the sub-permittee or any other party members on the hunt. You make darn sure those people are committed as you are. I've just seen too many situations and heard about other situations. I had a friend that got drawn last year, fella that lives near me, and this is just so typical. He brought his son with him, that was no problem, and he brought another friend that's been a good friend, and now they're enemies,
Really?
Because that sub-permittee just ruined the whole hunt for him, basically. Yeah. He said it was a disaster.
That's such a shame.
I used to address this in my website. I'd tell them flat out what I thought about most of the sub-permittees I've seen. Most of them, they just don't have the patience or the commitment that they need to have. Second, nowadays you can go on YouTube and learn a lot.
Yeah.
And stuff like that, and know the woods where you're hunting. I mean, go up there, long before. If you've never been in, such and such a zone, you learn every road there and every brook, and you know, where the roads cross the brooks, so you can, you know, have this map in your mind, and look for the little, you know, look for the roads that most people may not even notice.
Right.
And just, I guess, third of all, have fun. Just have a good time.
Amen.
You know, make the most of it. Get off the road if you can. Don't be driving around. Just you know, really make sure you're going to have a good time. Have things well planned out, and go for it.
OMM Outfitters YouTube channel.
Yeah.
Check it out.
Yeah.
Podcast, maybe.
Listen to the podcast.
Listen to the podcast.
No, great advice too.
Yeah.
I mean,
Yeah. Well said.
Kenny, what, you know, the sub. What do you?
Yeah. I mean, it's tough. I could see, you know, you got your best friend and whatever, but you know, some people got to remember this. For them, it could be a once in a lifetime tag. So,
Absolutely.
just consider that and talk to your outfitter. Get what they suggest. Talk to your guide if you can. You know, and just know that your sub has to be prepared for what you're going to go through. So,
I think you, Kenny, you know, and Guy, I mean, Chris, you know, you know, obviously it's a family type of affair, and it's always kind of been that way, you know. So obviously we want people to have the hunt that they want, but you know, you can kind of whip them into shape too.
Yeah.
Or I mean, worst case, they have to sit in the vehicle, you know, and you go in and get the job done. So
I'll say, I remember my first clients up here were fantastic. They were best friends. They met in college, and they've been running together, and they were jokesters. One of them was certainly a little more physically capable. And so the sub, who was the one who, you know, maybe couldn't have done as well with some elevations or whatever, before we even went hunting, he pulls me aside and he says, listen, if you need to go do a hard charge, you just go. Mm-hmm. And I was like,
good for him.
Yeah. Like, he's like, you just go. You tell me to stay right there, and I will stay right there, and I will not move an inch, and I'll wait for you to come back and get me. And I was thinking, oh, this is a dream. and it was a dream, and ended up being one of really just a phenomenal, and there are people like become friends, you know what I mean? A lot of these clients do, you know, end up being that, you know. And so I get the email when one of them shoots a mule deer.
Yeah.
One lives in Jackson, Wyoming. The other one lives in Montana. I get the little invite of, hey, you need to come out and stay. I'm like, I think I'm going to be able to pencil that
Do
in.
it.
Yeah. So, all right. Well, I think we're going to wrap it up here. Nathan, Kenny, pleasure as always. Guy Randlett.
Thank you very much.
Thank you for jumping on here. Truly. I know you mean the world to this group, and
For sure.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Thanks,
Well,
Chris.
We love you, Guy.
Yep.
The feelings are mutual.
Yeah. Well, I can tell you I've had a lot of awesome experiences in the woods or moose hunting or related to moose hunting, joining this team, but sitting down and interviewing truly someone who we hold as like the godfather of the Maine moose hunting.
Come on.
Yeah, oh, yeah.
Truly.
There's
True,
plenty
no
of guys
doubt.
out
Yeah.
there better than I am.
But this is awesome. So thank you, Guy.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank God.
All right.
Amen.
Everyone out there, thanks for tuning in. God bless and be well.